Welcome back to the Tim and Steve Show. I am Tim Beard.
Steve Morris.
How you doing, Steve?
Good, yeah.
Not bad.
Good weekend.
Yeah, wasn't bad. Trying to think what I did Saturday. Saturday,
Go to a wedding.
wedding. See? Good thing for you to tell me what I did on my weekend. I was like, what did I do Saturday? Yeah, I went to a wedding on Saturday. It was outside, though. Luckily, it wasn't a terribly long ceremony, but
It was hot.
yeah, I asked Andrew about that whole thing about the goosebumps when it was hot like that. She said, yeah, it's called heat stroke. I was like, oh, that's lovely. Been going through a bunch of that lately.
You
So,
need to drink water.
yeah, well, she said even if you drink, you can still get it because it's just the sun on you too much. Of course, like I said, that job I've been doing is like the sun's right there. Of course, today it's a nice rainy day. Like we need the rain. I kind of hope it trickles out a little bit so that it's not so hard. Earlier, I woke up and I was like, holy crap, wicked thunderstorm, downpours. I'm like, we don't need downpours. We need just a nice soaking rain.
I could use a downpour. My yard could.
Yeah, let's try.
It's mostly weeds now.
Nah,
I don't treat it with anything. I think I talked about that last week.
you don't want to treat it, you get cancer.
I know.
Not good,
Allegedly.
allegedly. Yeah, so went to the wedding. Congratulations to her cousin Maddie and her husband, Ryan. I wouldn't say because I think it was Ryan. It's like I don't see these people on her side of the family that often. It's her cousin Tommy's daughter though, and they're really cool. I really like them, and he was telling me about his daughter. Like she goes to school and wears shirts that like pushes her how she believes in our country and all that. And I think it's pretty cool that you have someone younger standing up for what they believe in a world that's polluted with all this other woke crap. But
I think it's interesting because there's some on the side that are all into the wokeness for whatever reasons. And then there's people like my daughter who could give a flying care. I think it'll be interesting to see how people living in their fantasy world interact with, because I know there's a lot of people in Zeta's generation that at least that she's friends with anyway, that could care less what you identify as or what your pronouns are. Like,
kind of had enough of it. And,
yeah, it's like
yeah.
I could imagine some professor trying to tell her some woke garbage and her just like laughing at him or
Adriano
or proving him wrong, probably.
I could see her proving him wrong.
Or at least doing the research to show that, whatever. But it's just funny.
Adriano had one at UNH that he dropped the class because he's like, no, our values don't line up at all. And like, you're there to teach the topic. Now, if it's political science or something, maybe then, yeah. But
well, I mean, it's easy to say that, but at the same time, I also, when Zeta was younger, would tell her, you're going to get teachers or professors in your life that are going to grade you on your ability to repeat back to them what they said. They don't care if you think critically, if you analyze anything. They are egomaniacs that just want to hear that you have been brainwashed by them. Not necessarily brainwashed, but that you ascribe to their belief system. And I said, you can either challenge that and probably get, mediocre grades at best, or you can, hold your nose and write some garbage to get a good grade and move on and make sure that you know that you were just holding your nose and don't forget that it's full of garbage. Because there are people that are full of garbage, like
a lot of them.
I mean, shoot, there's probably a lot of things that we say that people could prove us wrong or try to prove us wrong and show us at least a different, the exact opposite of what we say. So it's out there on whatever you believe, but when they're sitting in that position of authority, they think that they're authority figures because they've got tenure or they're teaching a class, and they've done some research. But I tell Zeta, check their resume out, see if they ever left the academic world,
right, and have any experience. And that's our thing, like having business teachers teaching business that have never owned a business. It's like you don't own a business. Right. So yeah, you could teach principles.
They know
you
like
teach
principles and theories,
but you have no
practical knowledge
or experience in that. You know, it's just I don't
Yeah.
know. So it doesn't have as much merit in my eyes.
Right. It's like
you
me
know?
sitting here trying to tell you how to do the exact same thing. Like I have all kinds of experience, but on that, I'm going to defer to you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you want to talk about HR?
Right. That
I'll
would be
talk
different.
about HR.
Right. If I was like, hey, Steve, really have some questions with my employees and like HR related, you'd be like, hey, I got this covered. But would it be, all right, you telling me, all right, no, this is how you need to run your business. You could throw out ideas, and I understand that because everyone has a different perspective, which helps because you might see something I don't. But it's different. I just have a hard time like with a, business teacher that's never had a business before.
Right. That's what when we went to the business college, they bring in like special guest lecturers or guest professors. I guess they're not professors technically by the title, but
Right.
they bring them in from the community who actually are business owners, and it's not some 26-year-old playing guitar, hanging out, and barely out of college themselves, trying to teach them how to run a business, and they've never
Right. I mean, you could have teachers business teachers
risked
that,
their money on a venture.
right, and that's so much of it is risk, reward, and all that. And how can you really talk about those things if you've never even done them? No, I mean, if you grow up and your parents are both business owners or your dad was had a business and stuff, then all right, I'll give you a little more because you do have
Probably
some experience
interned with them, worked
Yeah.
with them, had conversations in depth.
But it's tough if you've never,
Yeah.
done it. I'm not saying you're a bad teacher if you haven't. I'm not at all. But it's hard, especially at the college level, the high school level or something. All right, it's not maybe but at the college level, like you're teaching business.
You're teaching these kids to go out and
Yes.
hopefully on their own
right,
in the next 6 months to 3 years, 3.5 years, go out on their own and try to figure it out.
right. So I think yeah. Yesterday we went to the Moose's breakfast.
Oh, how was that?
It was good. It was good. Yesterday I got up at 5:30. Well, I hit snooze twice, so technically 5:48 time I actually got out of bed. But Carrie was like snap in the morning. We have a group of people who snap too, or whatever, and it was like, "Well, you're up early." I'm like, trying to beat the heat because they said yesterday was like the hottest day because the temperature was hotter, plus with the the sun, everything like 100-degree heat index or whatever. Which I kind of find in the afternoon yesterday that the breeze picked up and it was more cloudy, and I actually went back after got lunch to do some more stuff because I was like, hey, you know what? It's actually pretty decent. Let's do some stuff. But no, the breakfast was good. It sounds like they do it, and I don't want to confirm all this, and we'll start talking about this more on the show. But it sounds like the first and the third Sunday of the month they do a breakfast. But this one was just a special charity type one. It was really good. I mean, I got the sausage, biscuits and gravy with the eggs. That wasn't bad, but the rest of the breakfast, like the girls they got like Adelina got a waffle, which was really good, and then the girls got like a regular type breakfast. It was really good. The eggs are spectacular. If I could make some biscuits and gravies, that'd be really, really good, like Southern style.
Biscuits are tricky.
They are.
They can be too dry.
Yeah, I think they used which. Listen, this is like
Too tough.
charity thing. You get a couple, 5, 6 people come over. You're not going to spend hours making food like that. So I'm not trying to bash anybody. Please don't think that. I think they were like grand rolls, like the Pillsbury grand rolls, and then I don't know what kind of sausage gravy it was, but it wasn't so much as a white gravy. It was more of a darker color, but it was pretty good. But I'm just saying, man, if you made some homemade that's my one breakfast that.
Well, see, I could
really like
err on the safety of a Grand's biscuit because you know what you're going to get with that.
They're good.
You know what I mean? Like it's not
For them,
grandma's biscuits,
yes,
but
yes.
come on, you can't.
No.
It's not too dry. It's not too brittle. It's
Yeah.
not too
Grand biscuits are good.
crunchy or
Biscuits,
hard. Yeah. You know what I mean? You can mess them up, obviously, but
And I think the only reason I have any criticism whatsoever is just, and like I said, it's fine for that. Like I don't want anyone to think, oh my god, no. Like if I went back, I would still get probably biscuits and gravy. Like I'd just get like a side of bacon with it or something too, because I love bacon. But every time I go to a new restaurant, and if they have biscuits and gravy, I want to try it because the best ones I've ever had are in Tennessee. It's this place in
I
Nashville.
love Tennessee.
I love Tennessee too. Nashville, I love
Zeta's
Nashville.
roommates from Nashville.
Nice. There's some good cooking in that area too. Really good stuff, and
It's mostly pork though, so
Yeah,
in
sausage.
Texas, when you talk about barbecue,
You're
that's
talking beef,
beef. Like there's nothing else.
which I've never had a good beef rib. Never.
Really?
Yeah, never had a good beef rib. Amazing pork ribs.
Yeah, I've had some great.
Amazing brisket. Stuff like that, but never had a good. Yeah, it's 100% right. The South is more of a pork kind of thing, but Texas is definitely a beef kind of barbecue.
Yeah. Like when you talk about barbecue in Texas, you're talking, mostly beef. Like some
Right.
people throw on some sides or whatever,
Yeah.
some side meats, but the majority of the time it's going to be some type of beef as the main course.
Yeah.
But then in Tennessee, when you go and you go to a barbecue joint, it's mostly going to be pork.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, that's true. You're making me hungry. But no, so that once it sounds like on the first and the third Sunday of the month, and I think the sausage biscuits and gravy was more of a special thing they did yesterday. But they have eggs and omelets and all that, and it was really good, and it was very inexpensive. I think mine was the most expensive, like $8. And you got 2 biscuits with gravy and 2 eggs.
It's cheaper than the cheap fast food in town.
Absolutely. And like I said, it was good. And they cooked scrambled eggs perfect way I like them. Like some people overcook scrambled eggs. So these were good. Yeah, these are good. I was very impressed. I mean, I think
I'm picky about my scrambled eggs. If you get a little paper type residue, then I can't eat them.
paper residue. Oh, overcooking them.
Overcooking them.
Yeah, I don't like that either. These were so that
Mine got to be just past wet.
Yep, that's me 100%, 100%. Or like a little damp, but not like obviously not not cooked, but yeah. I'm with you. We're right on that with the eggs. That's So no, it was good and it was inexpensive. It was good for a good cause. So I'll talk to Mike, who's the vice president of the Moose, and just like, hey, let me know some of these things that you do. Sometimes they do like Friday fish fries and stuff like that. So we'll definitely get the word
Nikki
out.
will go to a Friday fish fry.
Yeah, I would go too. Yeah,
That's her main staple at Dad's.
yeah. So then we went to Dad's for lunch, and I got a cheeseburger, which is already good. Andrea got this chicken, like a grilled chicken, teriyaki chicken kind of sandwich. That was really good too, and the onion rings are good. There's another.
Their fries are good.
Fries are good there.
Eat them fresh though. Don't take them home.
No, I don't like any fries that have been.
There's a bit, you know what I mean? But sometimes you can reheat fries. Their fries are great, but they're great.
Yeah. I'm not a big reheat them either. It's like, but yeah. So we went there, and that was good. One of the days this weekend, I don't remember which one it was. We weeded some in the garden, and actually Adelina I think it was Saturday. Yeah, it was Saturday. Because Andrew's like, don't worry about moving dirt today. Just do it tomorrow. And so, all right, we'll go up and weed and do that thing. So I got a bit, like, it's hot. I was like, so I took my shirt off, and I'm just weeding. Next thing I look over.
Sans tank top?
No tank top, just shirtless. Straight up shirtless.
Barrel chested out there. Yeah, I can't even do that in my yard because I get attacked by the biting flies. I don't know if there's a nest of them or.
And
I have a very different skin tone from my lower arm to my T-shirt area. There's a 50 shades of white.
I hear you. It's funny. If I take my shoes off, you'll see my foot is very white. The rest of me, I'm very tan. And then Adriano the other day, we looked and we like laughed at him because he wears his socks like 6 inches higher than than I do. And when his tan line is like, it's like he was wearing like short pants, like capri kind of pants. So we're
Some
picking
culottes
on. Yeah. But I look over, and all of a sudden I hear Adelina say, I'm naked. And I'm like, luckily she kept her diaper on, but she's out there in her diaper helping. And she's so helpful now. The plants have kind of gotten up to size. She's doing pretty good without not walking on them. And she just kept taking little the pots that we had from, some stuff we had bought. And she'd walk over and we'd put weeds and little rocks in there, and she'd bring them out just outside the gate and dump them. And Andrew took the hoe and was like going between the rows at the lower section, which stuff hasn't come up as well. It's weird because the onions
Too wet?
What's that?
Is it too wet?
I'm thinking it's too wet. Yeah, we haven't watered it at all. But so next year, I think what I'm gonna have to do is I'll leave that section I'll try to figure out onions apparently, because onions grew down there. So, and carrots coming up, but very slow. Like, I think we're going to extend the garden, like, down towards like the wood line, I was trying to explain it to you, where the trees are cut down, like that,
Yeah.
that direction where all that dirt is filled in, and then kind of come up to where like the strawberry area, so it's,
So further north.
yeah,
right?
more of a direct sunlight. Yeah, I think that's what it is. But the onions, so the onions I planted were the little bulb ones that I got at Home Depot. I planted them like probably a month after we planted the garden. They're already up like this.
Really? See, none
The
of mine
seeds,
grew.
see the seeds, nothing.
The seeds will take a long, long time. But I
Yeah.
put a whole bag of 40 of those onions.
Yeah.
Got nothing popping up. I think
So weird.
I think mine got too dried out. I must have bought them too early in March.
Tell you, the corn came up excellent. I'm starting to get some height to it because I was really concerned for a while because I look at your corn, I'm like, dang, I mean, I've got some now that's like this. Yeah, I got some still shorter, but the potatoes look probably the best.
Yeah,
Well,
my potatoes are.
I have some tomatoes that look awesome that they're starting to flower. They've just barely starting to flower, so I don't have anything on them yet. So the smaller ones that I got from Home Depot, those ones that were on sale there for 99 cents, I got a few tomatoes on a few of those. But the ones that we got from Kevin and Michelle they're beautiful. I mean, they're probably 2 feet tall. They're very full though, so I think you're cutting yours to make them taller. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, so you just. I get all the suckers off. So for most of mine, if they're indeterminate, you can pretty much chew them up pretty good. So I told you before we started the show, I got like at least another 84 feet of trellis to put up, if not 178 feet. I got quite a bit. But anyway, so I pruned all the tomatoes that were tall enough so that the first weaving that I put through, it'll just go right. It'll be easy because there's nothing on the base of the tomatoes.
Yeah,
You just got to leave enough green for them to get their energy,
right.
enough
So I went around
leaves.
to the ones that I had and was taking the weeds out. Then I noticed I had a few like dead little branches off of them. I pulled all those off. Anything that didn't look nice and so I just pulled them off and but it's starting to flower, so I should have tomatoes soon. But they look beautiful. Like they
I already have
really good.
cherry tomatoes on the ones growing up in the middle of the aisle.
Nice.
I mean, they're not. Excuse me, they're not ready to pick, but
they're
they
good.
already have tomatoes on them.
We,
Like a whole, how they're like 12 of them in a row.
The cucumbers are going great.
I got 2 cucumbers out of the garden this weekend.
I've got I think I have 4 or 5 plants out there, and I've got a couple. We picked one over the weekend, but I still got a bunch more growing, and they're going very well. Squash is starting to really. The ones you got me they're all flowered now. I had just behind that zucchini that's really come up, and then pumpkins behind that, and so yeah, it's all coming together.
And my winter squash, there's 2 rows that are just awesome. The sun must hit it perfectly
Just right, yeah.
because they're gigantic.
I picked up, it was supposed to come this week, but some of those UV blankets that Kevin and Michelle use, because they swear by them, and I don't know, I'm looking at their garden, and I can't question it. So what I'm going to do is so they're 10 feet wide and 12 long. So what I'm going to do is put 6 posts up. So I got some like 12-foot 4x4 pressure treated, and like put them like 4 feet in the ground. I'll cement them real well, and then I'm going to run a cable across them, and then I'll use like carabiners because it's like a tarp. It's got the little hooks on them, so that way you can stick them across and you can slide them back on a rainy day or whatever, and just see if that helps because that front section is straight sun. It's from when the sun's up to it goes down. It's sun, and just see if it helps at all with it. And it's like a 60 or 50% blocker, so it's not going to block at all. It's just going to cut back. And actually, I bought a 20 by 30 that was like a 70% to put over my cows, so they have some shade out there because it's just been so hot. They try to, because I started working in the back of the barn, as you know, and was going to put concrete there so they can come in and out of the barn, and then got moved on to other projects, and so
That reminds me, we had laughed about the heat causing that massive cow die-off in, was it Arizona or New Mexico?
Kansas.
Yeah. I came across another article, and now they think it might have been some airborne disease, like some fungus or something they all inhaled.
It's interesting.
Interesting.
It's very interesting.
But, the initial reports are always wrong. So they teach you, anyway, when you're dealing with initial reports.
Right. And then
I just want to clarify that, though. So, you know what I mean? Because we had laughed and make our jokes about the heat.
right.
Now there's another possibility that it was some type of airborne fungus.
Yeah, it's the whole world's like freaking out now because it's hot. It's freaking summer.
I saw something, and it could have been made up, probably was, but if not, it was like the same map of France or whatever, and 4 years ago the map just had the temperatures on it, roughly the equivalent temperatures on the same day. Here it is 4 or 5 years later,
Right.
and now it's like flaming hellfire red
Yes.
to orange. It's all
Yeah.
part of the whole
It's
fear
part of-
factor
Yeah,
that
it's
we
the
always
whole
talk
climate
about.
change thing they're trying to push right now. So there was some flooding in Miami over the weekend, so we need federal money for that.
Well, there was something that came out where NASA, and I'm sure it's going to be debunked, but eventually. But NASA's known for quite a while now that the temperature changes because of the cycles of the sun, how close we are, how far away we are, the angle,
Right.
how whatever is going on with the sun as a star that can have bursts and everything.
Right.
That's the leading cause of quote unquote climate change. That's from NASA.
But we can't,
But they've known that for quite a while now.
Yeah.
Which you figure because it went from global cooling to
in 1974 was that
ozone.
article from last week that we showed, that little meme thing that says that it's cooling and
that the world's going to freeze.
yeah, it's going to freeze. And now all of a sudden, it's all going to burn down now. We have all these wildfires. Well, you have wildfires in California because their forest management is a joke. That's why you have wildfires in California. So if you think it's because of heat, no, because when they cut a tree down, they just leave all the brush right there. And that's the policy. They have to. And what do you think that does? It just makes kindling on the forest floor. So when a fire gets going, it just goes and goes and goes. Where other places around here, they don't. They'll chip it or whatever. They don't just leave it everywhere. And that's why we don't get fires like that around here. Now, granted, I know it's hotter out there and stuff, but yeah, knock on wood. I mean, occasionally, yeah. I mean, this year it's been dry this year. We've gotten some forest fires. It does happen. That's normal. But when you literally are causing the issue, especially with the forest fires out west,
I know they do that under the guise of climate change,
right? I don't know, but
Bizarro.
moved a bunch of dirt. Lydia and Paige are here this weekend. Well, Lydia's ours with us, but Paige was over, and I was like, "Hey, do you want to drive the dump truck and move dirt?" And she's like, "All right." It's like, she's 13. She's knows how to run the tractor. She can move the excavator. I haven't really taught her how to dig holes yet, but Emilio can run the excavator now. And then so they're moving dirt up, and she was getting better at backing up. A couple times that I was like, "Hey, you got to readjust because you're off a bit," and then Paige would drive it back down and it would switch because Paige isn't comfortable backing up. But super helpful. I got probably a whole 10 feet out in the circumference of it all. So I'm almost to my stake with the back part of the house. So I'm getting there. I would say this week I should be able to get to where when we get. So I'm on vacation next week, so there'll be no show next week, unfortunately, unless you want to come to Pittsburgh.
I don't know. I think Nikki's starting a new job next week.
Is she? Cool. We'll talk about that after the show. Yeah. Anyways, hopefully, second week of August, I can start putting out the stuff to get the concrete in because I need to get my butt moving. And it's not that I'm not doing it. It's just between we do the show.
You gonna be back by Thursday
Thursday what?
next week?
No, why?
Isn't there a school board meeting next Thursday, or is it Thursday
11th,
after that?
Thursday after. 2nd and 4th.
Nice. Hey, I just went over all of it with my mom because I try to get down to Texas at some point.
So yeah. So that was my weekend in a nutshell. Mostly just work, but mix some fun in there too, obviously. And yeah. So the school position of the day.
I picked weeds all weekend, in case you want to know what my weekend was.
Well, yeah, you said you picked weeds, trellised.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't get to elaborate as much as you.
Well, go for it.
There's nothing else to elaborate on. I'm just just messing with you because you talked for, what was it, 20 minutes? I got 13 seconds of I trellised, picked weeds.
All right, you can do the rest of the show. I'll sit here in silence.
That's all I did. Well, I worked on the garden. That's like my.
I know. I texted you yesterday. I was like, because I sent you 2 stories or something, and then nothing back. I'm like, the hell, Nikki kill him finally? And did it happen this weekend? I didn't know about it, and I didn't get a call hey, I need help burying a body or anything. So, and you're like, no, just working in the garden, laying low.
Yeah, working on the pond, the ponds, it's because it's getting hot and the water table starts to drop naturally, so the water's dropping. So I just made sure there are no, mass die-offs as the water warms up, keeping
Hopefully
the
this
water
will help
flowing.
today.
Yeah, hopefully. We need a rain it's coming back down pretty good. This is the kind
There
of
we go.
rain you
Not
wanted.
nice yet.
Nice, steady soaking versus it was pretty windy yesterday before the storms rolled in.
It was.
I think that's what cooled it off in the afternoon, like you were
Yep.
saying, is some high winds came in, so even though it was really hot, it was bearable.
Yeah, because originally I was just going to go home, and then so I left the excavator door and window open, and then the dump truck I left there with the windows down. But I was like, it looked like it might rain, so I went up there, and I'm like, it's kind of cooled down. So we worked for another maybe hour and a half.
Hey, I watched some video where some guy must have watched a self-help video before he made his gardening video, and he said, hey, even if you just do one thing, if you're having a day to where it's too hot or you don't
Right.
feel well, he's like, even just go out there and straighten up one plant or whatever. He's like, it's better, your garden will be better off. So I try to always, no matter how I'm feeling or what's going on, even if it's, tightening up a trellis or
Right.
thinning out some weeds on half a row or something, just get something done. But anyway, that's all I did was work in the garden.
Well, it's tough
mow.
because this last week it's either early morning go out or then after 5 roughly, and then like that's which is what I was doing. And then I worked till 8 or so, like close to dark because it's cooler then. But when the sun's out, right, it's like it's killer out there.
Yeah, the bad thing about the evening is those biting flies come out.
Yeah, we have a lot of horse flies up there or deer
These
flies.
are like,
or-
I don't know, they're not full-size horse flies, but you know what I'm talking
they're probably
about?
deer ones. So
They're like half the size of a horse
yeah,
fly.
those are deer flies. They don't hurt as bad when they bite, but there's a lot more of them. Horse flies, the big ones that when they bite, it feels like that dog bit you. Like it's
I don't know I've been bit by a horse fly, but the deer flies they can sting pretty good.
Yeah,
Like,
they can.
it leaves
Yeah.
like welts on my forehead. Maybe it doesn't hurt as much, but like it itches and it swells.
Yeah, they're pretty nasty, and I don't think it's bitten up with the bugs, and they don't really seem to bother when I look over and like, oh, you're getting, usually Andrew will put bug spray on it or whatever, but yeah, as soon as that sun, we get to that 7:30, 8 o'clock, it gets pretty buggy where it's tough to do anything. Of course, we have a lot of flies and stuff at the barn, because manure and everything else, and so I was actually asking someone like, hey, what are you using for fly control? Because it just seemed like this year there's been more than normal. And I think it's probably because it's been hot too. But he just uses a spray, which is the same kind of thing we use. So I just maybe pick up.
There's not as much standing water either because it hasn't rained much this year. So
I have some standing water up to my land. My parents stopped up to the land yesterday. I wasn't there, but like, yeah, we had some time to kill. We're gonna see the animals. I said, yeah, anytime you want. My dad's like, hey, that spot over there where you're digging out, you used to know where I'm digging all that dirt out to bring it up front. He says, you should put a well here. He says, because it's been a very dry year, and you still have water coming out of the ground here. So, which obviously I know because I deal with it all the time. Like, it irritates me because I don't want it there. I need to get it away so it stays dry, which I'm going to put stone and stuff in. He's like, you should put a well here, which for some reason there used to be a water line that ran from, I guess, the front of the property way out back and up into the field. So it must have been like an old farmer's well or something, and I don't know how he used it. It must have just been like centrifugal force or something that made it flow. So I followed that pipe all the way back to his property, got rid of the pipe, but I still get water in that one spot. So I don't know if there's probably just some veins of water through there. So I was like, yeah, it might be a good idea. I already got it dug up, so it would just go over, dig another 10 feet, as deep as I can dig with my machine, put some stone around it, and then, might as well just stick another well there. It's not going to hurt, that's for sure. Plus, it's away from the barn and everything. The other one's kind of near the barn, so it's more just for the animals and the plants. But yeah, I was like, yeah, all right. Because was it 2 years ago? 2 years ago, I had to dig a new well because the one I put in was like out. I'm like, and it wasn't super deep by no means, but so I rented a machine and dug it as deep as I could dig. So that one's like 12 feet, and that's like the wettest spot that I've had on the land prior to digging up in this place, right off where the pens are on that back corner. It's already super, super wet out there. And so this year I've been lucky. It's gotten down, but it hasn't gotten down to where I'm concerned about, like, am I going to run out of water? because not only does my garden need water, but my animals, even more importantly, need water. And so, yeah, I think I'll probably throw another well in there. Just, but I was like, you can't have too many, just especially on a year like this. These dug wells, you never know if you're gonna have water or not. So, yeah,
Wise words.
yeah. All right,
Playing footsies with you? Or... Yep.
no one else is here.
Well, I didn't know if it was JJ, but he's over there laying on the couch.
No, he's over there. He's like, I've had enough.
All right, so position of the day, going on to local happenings. What we got going on around town?
Para. I didn't see the position of the day posted yet, but I know they need Paris. But I did notice that the English teacher one, when I clicked on it, said that it had been removed. So I'm thinking that's why I said anticipated. Maybe they had someone they were going to hire or something. So that's good. But they always need Paris. It's a tough job. It doesn't pay well, unfortunately, but if you like working around kids and stuff, it's a good opportunity. And all the schools need them. So whether it's Richards or in middle school or high school, it's, yeah. Congratulations to Alexandra Villers. She's a registered nurse, EMT, right now, National Registry EMT. Alex. They wrote Alex. Was a Sunapee High School senior and recently completer of the 2001-2022 SRV RTC EMT program that Mr. Perry did. So congratulations. She's now a nationally registered EMT medical technician. And Tiger Nation is proud of you. So I think that was pretty cool. So Sunapee students come to our CTE, same as Claremont. I'm sure you know this, obviously, but for the people that don't know out there.
Yeah, we have agreements where if they have a program, our kids, they'll save us a few slots just as we save the other schools some slots.
Yeah.
So if we don't have a program and they have it at Sunapee or
we can go
Claremont, we can try to get.
This is a new thing, I think Adriano, maybe it was the first class or before that. It was a new thing when Adriano was there, and I think it was great, like an EMT class. So and now she's an EMT and an actual National Register certified EMT. She could go work on the Newport ambulance or the fire service or whatever. So I think that's just another awesome thing that the CT is providing there.
Yeah, I mean, coming out of high school already before the summer's over with and certified to go at least start off your career.
Yeah, you could literally go down the Newport ambulance and say, hey, I'm an EMT now and I'd like to get shifts, and they're always looking for EMTs. So I think that's awesome. Directly from school to work, boom. So that's pretty...
the ability to take care of yourself.
Yeah, definitely. So same thing, reduced and free out lunch applications available on the SAU's website. If you have a child that's going to be 5 by September 30th, now's the time to get them signed up for kindergarten. And, middle school parent-athlete meeting for fall sports sign-up Wednesday, August 3rd, 5 o'clock. And for the high school students, Thursday, 5 o'clock, Wheeler Gym.
Thursday, August 4th.
Yes, the 4th, not this week, next week. And then August 3rd, that same Wednesday for that sign-up, from 6 to 8, they're doing that track clinic for grades 7 to 12. So that's a pretty cool thing. If your kids play track, whatever, this would be a good, participate in track. Can't play track, I guess.
You can run. Yeah, you can
participate.
Be on the track team.
Yeah. And this coming up weekend's Constant on Comment is Party Crashers, 6 to 8. And, And then the only other thing I saw that was, the 69th Annual Shrine Maple Bowl is August 6th, so next Saturday. Not this one, next Saturday. Yeah. No, 2 Saturdays still.
A couple weeks away.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 Saturdays from now. Devin's going to be in that, so that'll be exciting. And,
Devin Hano.
Yep, Devin Hano will be in that. And then just saw this PSA thing that someone shared on my Facebook. It just said, I don't know if it's just a New Hampshire thing, but it's a new suicide prevention hotline number, 988. So if you're ever in a bad place in your life, this help, all you do is to push 988. There's no longer a long number you have to put into your phone or whatever. And so I figured something important to share.
Yeah. feeling down and feeling about hurting yourself, call 988.
Call this number and
Talk to somebody.
talk to them and get some help. And because suicide doesn't just hurt you, it hurts the loved ones around you. Even though if you are down, don't feel anyone cares. They do.
Yeah,
There's
people
always someone
care.
does.
Somebody always cares.
Someone always cares. So
Even if they say something hurtful to you, it's the last thing they said. If they're
exactly.
friend or family, they care.
They care. So if you're ever feeling down, there's a 988 suicide prevention hotline. And yeah. So my meme of the day. Here it is. We talk about this like every show, I swear. So the uniparty, the sooner you realize the easier it will be for you to see clearly. There is no two-party system in the United States. There's just the Republican Democrats, and they're just the same party. And it's got the old money signs here, which not for every single candidate, I guess, would that be true, but I feel like in general, the way the country's been going even for the last 10 years, it just seems like it's one party running it all. If they really cared about the people, they would.
Yeah, there's a lot of decisions being made that don't reflect, I mean, they're giving away our tax dollars to foreign countries. Come on.
Yeah. Well, our country
Well, our
suffers with high
country
inflation,
suffered,
fuel
yes,
prices.
We say it all the time, but
Yeah.
it's worth noting for anybody who is not clear on it.
Wrong direction. I saw this other meme, so I just figured to talk about it real quick, but
Hit my head off my microphone.
Oh.
I was looking at my shirt. I just have I don't know, American flag, deer skull or something.
yeah. I know some of the problem is some of these shirts are so nice, the ones that I bought for us, the bigger part's on the back, which doesn't do us any good for the show. It's good for when you're on Community or whatever, but yeah, that's okay though. So I heard about this a while ago, the dangers of 5G. So my old hairdresser guy, barber, whatever, was in town, said he was in the military. He was a Marine.
Did he cut your hair this week?
Nah, he left after COVID. Remember,
yeah.
he had to leave.
Did he go down? He went down to Florida.
Nah, I don't know. Originally, he was from Florida. I don't know, but so he already told me like 5G is like.
Did you bump into him, or are you just recalling a conversation you had
Recalling
a
a
couple of
conversation.
years ago? Because
It's
he's
been
been
a couple
shut
years.
down for a couple of years now.
Recalling a conversation.
Okay, I thought maybe you bumped into him this weekend at the.
No, so I just saw like this meme thing, and then I just remembered something he told me. He's like, the dangers of 5G. He's like, 5G is something like the military uses as a weapon because like 5G is like higher radiation or something like that. He's like, you could point 5G at your enemies, which will weaken their immune system or something or whatever. And like I said, and I don't necessarily, don't quote me word for word here, but I just remember the conversation. He's like, it's not good. It's not a good thing for you. And then and I don't know anything about this meme here, so you could be like, well, that company or that organization is the biggest crock or whatever.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see what you say before I come at you.
All right, that's fine. So this, I guess, isn't from Environmental Health Trust, but this person had said that we can no longer assume that any current or future wireless technology, including 5G, is safe without adequate testing. Dr. Ronald Melnick, PhD, he's a former senior toxicologist and Director of Special Programs for the Environmental Toxicology Program at the National Health Institute of Environmental Health Sciences. And so, I mean, it goes like to 5G or anything else that new that come out. Like, none of this stuff's actually adequately tested. It's just like, hey, cool, make your phone work better. Screw it.
Oh, yeah, here's my whole deal with the 5G, and I'll throw it out there as conspiracy, right? I mean, because we don't, and I say that, and I don't like throwing that word out, or how about the concern for 5G is because I've had a 5G router in my house for, 15, 12 years, however long, right? So your routers can throw out, 2G or 5G?
Yeah.
5G is a lot shorter. It's got to have almost a direct line of sight, just like the towers out there. So, I mean, it's very similar. And I don't know. But I haven't felt any, as far as I know anyway, any ill adverse effects from the 5G on my wireless router.
No, but it doesn't seem like
Now, it could be a difference. Maybe it's a lower latency because those towers are zapping out 5Gs at a higher
Yeah, because I think around here,
power. I don't even know if you can do that, right? It's 5G,
because
5G, 5 gigahertz.
I don't know. So in cities, 5G was convenient because you could put them little things in,
That kind of street
like,
lamps.
yeah, and then that because they have to connect to make it all work, and so, but like around here, like the phone's garbage. Like my phone is garbage at my house. It used to work better, and now it's completely
Well,
junk.
mine's even worse now. Like, so I have a 5G phone. I have no 5G. There's no 5G towers around me. However, a couple times when I've been down in the garden and I changed my music, I'm somehow connected randomly to a 5G connection. Isn't that weird? Like on my property, which I barely get a 4G connection.
Right.
But
No,
the phone will tell you that it's connected to 5G, and it's not like I just turned my phone on and it's running through its progressions of loading up and thinks it's on a 5G and switches to 4G. Like it's really on. It's on. It shows that it's on the 5G network. But just driving to Leb the other day, it used to be one blank spot in Croydon, going down the road, listening to my music, and now my signal goes out from Croydon all the way up onto 89.
which makes no sense because there's a tower in Croydon now too. And it
And
just
they have a big, gigantic one looks like a pine tree out there on 89 that should be reaching almost to here, probably, you would think.
so I totally forgot about. We mentioned this, and then I totally forgot about this over the weekend. Is this report of what the hell is that name? I don't.
Huawei.
Huawei.
I bought a smartwatch one time and I wore it and I should have taken it back and got my money back, but like I was embarrassed that I didn't do my research. Like, it was like on sale and I grabbed it. It had all these awesome features. It was a Huawei, and then by the end of the day, it's been in the box. Never,
Just sitting there.
yeah, because it's China and spyware.
Yeah, that's exactly what this report
And that
is.
was like 6 years ago that I figured that out. Like,
So-
once I got home and started digging into it, I'm like, wait a second, this isn't IBM, knock on whatever, like renamed IBM. This is straight up Chinese spyware to,
Yeah.
and they know my location, all my emails. If I would have hooked it all up, but anyway, that was a waste of $125 or whatever it was.
So yeah, this story comes out over the weekend that Chinese-made tech is in the U.S. could spy on strategic command, and they're finding these things like the top of, towers, like radio towers or whatever, not radio towers, but like cell phone towers and whatever. And there was one that was close to like one of our nuclear facilities or whatever, and it just keeps like, how many times do like us, we don't matter, right? We're just me and you and whatever. But
I remember the last administration
kept talking about
kept talking
China
about China and Huawei and 5G and not
and
selling.
TikTok.
And because the UK was going to use Huawei
Yes.
technology, and the US said, don't do it.
Yeah.
It's spyware.
I mean, one of the heads of FCC said that TikTok, basically the same thing Trump said, that, that was just written off as a joke, but we need to get rid of TikTok because it's literally a Chinese company and they can take all your information, whatever. Yeah, we still have it, and our kids have it, like, right? And I don't have TikTok, like our kids have it, and then
Zeta doesn't have it.
right, but then there's this, and then there's another story that apparently Pelosi is going to go to Taiwan, which I think is funny. Maybe she's going to talk about her stock options that she told her husband about, but then China's like threatening the U.S. like because if we back Taiwan and all this, and China's the biggest threat here. Everyone wants to point at Russia, and all this, but like China has been the biggest threat for years now, and now with our so strong president and administration and all that, like,
I just remember about 10 years ago, I was in a class at one of my schools that the military sent me to, and I remember talking about, you have discussions about these, and I had brought up, and I normally don't talk in classes or, I just sit there and stare at the wall. But anyway, I actually spoke up that day and I said, I was concerned about China I remember some guy telling me what a jackwagon I was for thinking that China, because, yes, they're doing their going in and building soccer stadiums, they're falling apart and everybody's turning against them. And I was like, but they're still getting the access, and like they're doing it all over the world, going in like colonizing by building infrastructure or soccer stadiums, or it gives them a foot in the door, and they are cheaply built. Anything that they build isn't built to last.
And they're still a communist country.
But I just remember him trying to make me feel like a jackwagon for being concerned about China.
Yeah.
He was a pilot
You have
in the
a
Air Force.
compromised president, we'll say allegedly, with China, and his son's business dealings with China.
You can read on Biden laptop,
Yeah.
emails.com, something like that.
And actually, we'll just jump to this story real quick because it's relevant to what we were just talking about.
Are you going to, wait, which one?
It's going with Milley.
Oh.
So General Milley is China's more aggressive and dangerous to the U.S. and its allies. So now you have, you have a general coming out saying China's getting stronger and stronger. I mean, I've seen so many things where, it was a meme, but like China's building, bigger navy, and we're over here fighting about pronouns of what you should call your kid, or your kid should be called, or whatever.
We're not meeting our recruiting goals, because what kid wants to join the woke military where you got to...
Exactly. Like if someone doesn't smarten up soon, this path we're on, that everyone's like, oh, it's going to end real bad.
Well, it's a path that is held by a minority that people think is a majority because of the amount of
media coverage
and freedom that they have on social media platforms, to where if we say, yeah, no, I don't really agree with your game, then we're all of a sudden an ist and everything else. And it's like 10 years ago, we wouldn't have had that. We'd have laughed that you're trying to have this conversation. Like you wouldn't have been trying to have this conversation, number one, not you, but the hypothetical person I'm talking to. Like you wouldn't even have did this because you would have thought it was silly and like, all right, we're going too far. And now they're pushing the stuff that's way too far, and people are afraid to say something because they'll come at you, and it's like, I'm not though. It's silly. It's a baby game that I'm not playing.
Yeah, you can't have an opinion no more unless the match is theirs. No, I'm good with that.
That's a quicker way of summing up what I just tried to say.
I mean,
thank you.
My buddy shared a meme the other day about selling oil to China, from our strategic reserve, which legit happened, and it was fact checked and said on the bottom, like partially false or whatever. And it said that
was the date wrong on it?
No laws are broken. It's still legal to do so. And I'm like, so you still have Facebook running political interference for the Democrat Party to push their woke agendas?
That's not even a woke agenda. That's like
that's the factual freaking thing.
Well, the fact of the matter is, it's called the Strategic Oil Reserves. It's for us. Like what strategic move did they make by selling those 5 million barrels to China?
Exactly.
Hunter Biden made some profit off of it, allegedly.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the point of keeping the strategic reserve would be if for some reason we couldn't get oil, which we have plenty of right here, just Texas, New Mexico, Alaska even. But would be that we'd have that oil to run our equipment and stuff to fight a war if necessary or whatever, right? And that part of a strategic reserve. We're depleting it. We're giving it to China. And I think we just talked about China and the risk of China.
People are afraid to hurt people's feelings. Like, no one from China needs to buy land anywhere.
No.
This is America.
Exactly.
200 square miles outside of Laughlin Air Force Base should not have been sold to China.
You think?
You think China would sell us? Maybe they have. I guess I need to look it up, but I would doubt that they would sell us land in their country.
We seriously have treasoners, traitors in our government that are just selling us out. And you want to talk about and worry about your little pronouns? Well, they want to kill you.
You're a conspiracy theorist, Tim.
Yes.
They're not going to do anything with that land. They can buy it if they have the money. We're making tax dollars off of it.
Or they buy our...
That's what you would be told. But I get it. Whatever. Nice on the tax dollars, but the strategy of giving a foreign country ownership of land inside of your country is not that healthy of a strategy for long-term survival of your country. Just saying.
Right.
That just makes me an astute observer of history and of facts and common sense, not anything else.
Yeah.
Just so we're all clear, you can say whatever you want, but that is,
Yeah.
there's nothing racist or anything else about it. It's called,
No.
it's our country.
Right.
And if you want to maintain it, if you want to, quote unquote, live the American dream, whatever's left of it, stop letting in unfettered migrants, quote unquote, into our borders and stop selling our land to
China.
foreign entities. I remember when AMC was bought out by China. It was devastating to me.
Yeah.
Like you sell this American company to a foreign
American
government?
movie company, AMC, now owned by China.
No, not anymore, but it was. Like I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, what, who, why? And then look at our movie industry since then. It's gone downhill.
Yep. Yeah.
And whatever. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole.
But keep in mind, the country's doing so much better now, isn't it? Democrats are in control.
Their donors need to just send them a little bit more money, and they could get a little bit more control.
Let's get Hassan back in there.
Vote
this
harder.
time she's going to do it for you.
Donate harder and vote harder, and maybe
Yes.
this time they'll get something passed to
Yes.
benefit America.
She's going to work on lowering those prescription drug costs and those gas prices that her president is responsible for.
Did you see? Did they release how much cheaper this 4th of July was for us compared to last year?
Well, last year it was 17 cents, I believe.
60 or 17.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
This year was like $10 more expensive. I didn't hear anything about that, though. It was kind of
I know,
like
that was
crickets.
a facetious.
Oh, I know it was. I'm just going to elaborate off a little more. Another ex-NFL player has died at 35 years old. Paul Duncan died of a heart attack while he was running. So add this to the list. 2 weeks. I got 3 on my list now.
I sent you a list with 1,199 athlete.
Nation, not nationwide,
worldwide,
worldwide.
right?
Yep. But what do we
Totally
know?
normal.
We're just a bunch of morons here on a little podcast and above your garage. So this next story, which is 3 stories, basically, is all about the lovely state of California and the amazing shithole that it is, which everything they do in California is kind of like the model for what they're trying to do in the United States as a whole. So let's keep that in mind. But LAPD wants you to be cautious and not wear flashy jewelry or drive nice cars because they can't protect you from people robbing you and stealing from you.
Why wouldn't they just say, hey, if you're going to drive a nice car and wear flashy jewelry, constitutionally carry?
Because in California you can't do that because they're communists in California and they don't want you to be able to protect yourself. They'd rather have stats.
Could you imagine the audacity? Like, and again, I realize our 50 to 100 steady subscribers and viewers / listeners already agree with us. But the audacity to even sit there, this is like something out of a dystopian movie. We need you to go buy a crappier car to protect yourself and don't wear jewelry. Like, you'll
Right.
own nothing and like it, by the way. Like, that's what it's getting. It's basically saying, see, if you don't own anything, you can't get robbed because you're all equally poor and you all equally need something. Right? Like this is just ridiculous. Like, the audacity to sit there and for anybody, and I know that no one listening probably believes that, but for all of our leftist and liberal Democrat friends, at what point do you say, all right, y'all need to step up your game and protect your citizens?
Right.
And maybe, that's why there's a 68% disapproval rate for the rate the country's going on. And they're still not changing it. They're doubling down. Like, it's just...
Right. So let's go. So there's this. Let's go this here. So over the weekend, 2 people were killed, and at least 5 others were injured during a shooting that took place in LA County or Los Angeles Park, where a car show was being held. So these people are out at a car show, and they have a shooting. Now let's also talk about California has the strictest gun control laws in the country, and they can't protect you.
Was it in a gun-free zone?
Yeah. Well, California, mostly a gun-free zone in general. So they don't want you to wear flashy jewelry or drive nice cars because you'll probably get robbed or killed or something. And then they won't protect you while you're getting shot at a car show, but they won't let you protect yourself either because they'd rather have you.
And
as
they
a
won't
stat.
set bail if you're running for office and someone comes up on stage with a knife and tries to pretend like they're going to kill you. You know that happened in New York.
Mm-hmm.
He got no cash bail. Like he basically was released on his own cognizance right after he tried to, allegedly assassinate the guy. I mean, I watched the video.
Yeah. Well,
He didn't seem too committed, but
let's go back to L.A. where Dave Chappelle was attacked on stage with a knife,
same thing.
and they let the guy go. Yet we don't know what's happening. And now Gavin Newsom, who's a dumbass, is buying ads.
He's not a dumbass. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's a self-serving, self-righteous.
Okay, Gavin
D-bag.
Newsom, who is a piece of shit,
There you go. Thank you.
buys.
Dumbass implies that he's dumb.
As in
he's
doesn't
not
know.
dumb. He's a piece of garbage.
Thank you for correcting me. That's very true. He's buying ads for gun control and
He's got a lot of money to spend. $1 billion on masks. Now he's
Yeah.
paying for ads in other states.
yeah, in major GOP states. So probably Florida would be one. Sure.
He's definitely put some ads out. I don't know if it was for gun control, but he's put some ads in Florida.
Yeah. So keep in mind, they recalled this guy, got 2 million signatures. Somehow he lost to the other guy, which was interesting, but whatever. And he can't protect his state in any way at all. He's now
protect his
telling you,
citizens.
his citizens.
He's now telling you to, hey, live like a poor person so that you
Yes.
don't bring attention to yourself or your success in life.
I mean, you have an Olympic athlete that gets attacked by a homeless person in the street in broad daylight, which is a national story. Yet he's spending his money, or someone's money, never his, I'm sure, but Soros's money probably, for gun control ads in other major GOP states. So the gun control works so well in his state that if you go to a car show, there's a good chance you can be shot and killed now. Or if you're walking down the street in LA, you're going to be robbed if you have anything flashy on. Or if you're in San Francisco, they shut down Walgreens because they're robbed so much because they passed a law that if it was under $900, it was not a crime, basically.
You just go in and go shopping without paying.
Just walk out with everything. But
Like, I don't understand how anyone could sit here and tell us that that's a
or
good
your
policy.
state is the number one state in the country to lose residents. There's such a mass exodus from California because you can't afford to live there because of the taxes, and you can't afford to live there if you want to live because there's a good chance you'll be shot or robbed or whatever in any of these major cities anyways. Yet this guy spends his time sending gun control ads to other places.
I don't think we have any, I haven't seen any messages from anybody in California, but
No.
it'd be interesting to see like why they continue to vote for this guy, or if they even do vote for this guy.
Do they? So, yeah. But this, keep in mind, this is the direction.
Did you just delete that DNA one?
No?
Oh.
Do you see it there?
No, I can't see. Oh, there it is.
Really?
You deleted the one below that because I was going to talk about that one 2 stories ago because it kind of.
Oh, we'll talk about this here. That's our next story coming up right there. So, yeah. So, if you want to, currently they're trying to pass more gun stuff in Congress. I watched a video before we came on.
Look, at the end of the day, all of this gun control stuff is so that they can tell us what to do and they know that we can't fight back. There are more of us than there are of them. They're supposed to be working for us. It's apparent that they're not because the polls, if you believe them, show that 68% of us believe that the country is going in the wrong direction. So 68% of viewers, if there's anybody outside of our normal listening, agree with us that this is all wrong. Like we're preaching to the choir, but like somebody needs to continue to pound this home that they are coming for your weapons. They're coming for your decision-making abilities, for anything that you think you're in control of, and you'll become the sheep that they think that you are. You will be herded and worked like cattle.
Do you remember back? No, I don't remember. You have to remember from history because we weren't alive. We used to tar and feather politicians. Remember that?
I've read about it.
Man, too bad they didn't do that anymore.
To embarrass them. Yeah. Well, it goes back to what I always say is like, how are these people journalists that write these garbage articles that are, you can demonstrably show that they're biased at the least. When it's one thing if it's in the opinion section, right? I mean, you have
Right.
you have that. That's
Sure.
one thing. But to be on the front page and to use words with adjectives that imply you and I are crackpot jackwagons because we're pointing out that Gavin Newsom is putting up ads to try to come for your guns. You're going to get bombarded with this kind of stuff, and it creeps into your crawl, and you start thinking, do we really need these? Not everybody, but there are people who are like, we don't really need these weapons. If we got all these off the street, and I believe they probably believe that that's true. Again, the weapons are to protect yourself throughout eternity against bad actors, whether it be your fellow citizens or the government.
Let's keep in mind. Okay.
Don't give up your weapons. Don't answer the door whenever they come and try to, unless they have a warrant. You saw that, right? Didn't we show that on here?
Oh, yeah,
Or
we talked about it last week. Mm-hmm.
They showed up his front door wanting to look at his,
Yeah.
verify his purchases. Like, get off my lawn, government bureaucrat.
Now, let's keep in mind that drugs are illegal in every state in this country, at least hardcore drugs. And we have a huge drug problem. But so, wait a minute. How can that be? We have we have drug laws. So how do we have a drug problem? We have laws. Just like gun laws work so good.
They have a way of helping to tighten that down. It's called social credit system, right? So some of the things we've said on here today, because they don't align with the 3% who's in control of everything right now, we wouldn't be allowed to go get gas, maybe travel out of state. Those are real things, not in America.
But the people
yet.
robbing you in L.A. would.
Yeah, they get a free pass for now.
Cool.
Eventually, it'll come down hard on them too. They might be last.
Yeah. I really hope people wake up in November. And trust me, I don't like the Republican Party any more than I like the Democrat Party. But at this point, you need to get new Republicans that have never ran before and send them to Congress. And then you need to go, come November, and now we're going to go after the Republicans that aren't doing their job. And you have to keep doing this and keep doing this and send a message to these people, you do not represent us, and we're going to fire you.
Yeah, well, it's funny because even the Democratic Party is not the same as it was. Like
it doesn't represent the Democrats.
They're now supporting big business, big pharma, like all these
everything
people
they weren't.
That like when I was younger, that I would get into disagreements with. Like now all of a sudden they're arguing way worse than what they would think that I was arguing. It's like, what are you talking about? Like,
you have like old school hippies and stuff that would have always been Democrats, right? They're liberal and everything. Okay, cool. Now they support the government that wants to take away all their freedoms, believes in communism apparently because they back China on everything. Like, wake up, dude.
I know. I don't understand.
You were anti-establishment, everything, and now you're all for the establishment.
I know. It's like you get some people around on your side, and all of a sudden you flip. Right? I mean, that's basically what's happened. It's like, hey, you know what? Maybe you're onto something. Maybe there is too much power and control and authority and everything else, and we need to take it away and dial it back. And they get people like me to finally agree with them after 20 years, and now all of a sudden I'm crazy. It's like, well, you're the one that told me this for 20 years.
Right. Now they want to be.
And now I finally see what you were talking about, and now you don't see it anymore. What the heck?
All right, this next story.
You get that, right? We're basically now the liberals from the 60s.
We're the freaking hippies of the 60s now. And
with our beard and our American flag shirts.
Yeah. So instead of the peace signs,
bizarro world,
we've got American flags. And,
right.
And so and then.
Just history repeating itself.
Yeah. And they're now the Marxists, they're freaking.
Yeah, it's bizarre
I don't
world.
get it, man.
We're in the upside down. We're in Stranger Things.
So, Rep. Jason Crow sounds the alarm on emerging DNA to bioweapons, which,
I mean, I read this story like 2.5 years, 2 years
Yeah.
ago, maybe longer. Like, don't give your DNA to the.
yeah, Ancestry.com and all these different places. And he's a Democrat, too. So, for those people that think we're just nuts and, okay, this is a Democrat. This is coming from a Democrat. So, automatically, you should be able to believe it now, right? Because apparently that matters. So he spoke to members of Congress sharing these recollections. No, that's not the one. Never mind. Sorry. I don't know what the hell that was about. But he's a member of the House Intelligence Committee. He's a warner of a new bioweapon that someone's DNA can be designed, so a weapon could be designed to kill you based on your DNA. Which for me, I'm like, that goes back to mRNA. But that's where I kind of drew the thing. But you can actually take
Start trying
someone's...
to rationalize and use some like,
Yeah.
if A then B, if B then C, therefore A equals B, whatever.
So you actually can take someone's DNA, their medical profile, and you can make them a target of the biological weapon just based on that DNA. This representative is an Army Ranger, and he did tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. And he's coming out against these Ancestry, 23andMe, Habit, Helix, MyHeritage, getting Americans to voluntarily submit DNA. And then, some of this is like Chinese too. Like, so Marco Rubio has pointed that, China is acquiring private DNA information. So now our enemy, China's our enemy. They're a communist country. It's the way it used to be, right? I guess. I mean,
That's how it was up until 10 years ago.
So Rubio says it's ridiculous that our current policies enable the Chinese Communist Party to access Americans' genomic data. Genomic. So your genes. And there's absolutely no reason that Beijing, which routinely seeks to undermine U.S. national security, should be handed this citizens' data information.
It goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like when I was saying, so that's why I thought you had deleted it, but I wanted to actually talk about it when I was talking about selling the land to China.
Right.
Now we're giving them our DNA samples.
Like, we're slowly being sold out by politicians to fill their pockets
for money that is fake money anyway. It's
right.
not even real.
As they buy our land, they buy our farms, they buy
Unless they're
our
getting gold bars or something. Then.
But they buy our DNA information. All this.
Hey, it goes back to why do you think that Steve Areno will never have a COVID test where it goes all the way up into his eye socket?
We buy our masks from China.
Yeah, who knows what you're breathing in there?
Yeah.
And then you go to places and they make you put on their mask, like at doctor's offices. You're like, well, where'd you get this mask from? Where was it made?
China.
I know, but like people don't care about that kind of stuff. And then if I ask, I'm like the jerk that just can't go with the flow. Like, no, I can't.
Nope.
Like,
just shove that mask up your ass. I don't care.
Ridiculous.
I won't. There was a court proceeding the other day. People were wearing masks. The judge was wearing a mask in New Hampshire. It was over the executive council.
Do they not read the science? There's all kinds of articles saying that. That's even on the mainstream news now. I bet I can find a New York Times article that probably says we were wrong about the mask or somewhere. Let's just see.
You look for that. I'll talk about this next thing.
All right.
Fits right in. WHO, World Health Organization, not the band. I think the WHO would want to change their freaking name at this point. Declares monkeypox outbreak a global health emergency after 5 deaths worldwide. 5 people have died of this. 5 people have probably died in New Hampshire yesterday of a heart attack.
Dude, they're just trying to get people to fall into the medical control state. Like,
yeah.
And again, most of our listeners probably figured that out yet, but whatever.
I'll keep them up. Monkeypox, you have to get it from contact. So if you want to shake a guy's hand or a girl's hand that has monkeypox on their hand, then you could get it. But if they don't have it and you don't touch them, you're not going to get it. How's this an emergency, by the way? And I thought they changed the name of monkeypox, because remember how they said it was racist? I thought it was like MK something or other. But now they're calling it monkeypox. After the story we read a couple weeks back where...
Yeah, the committee that made this right? Did you? I was trying to read.
Yeah.
Did you say how it was like 6-4 making it a global health pandemic, 9 against, and he still went for it at the WHO? So even his own advisor said it's not a global, right, by
Yeah.
democracy standards.
Right. Kind of comes back to the
Oh, Joe.
CDC, FDA, and NIH employees quitting because
it's all a sham.
it's all a sham and everything they're
They're
talking
not,
about.
They're not listening and doing real science.
Yeah, you still have people out there that are like, oh, yeah, it's nothing going on here. Just follow the science, right? Huh. Now scientists are quitting because it's political. They literally said, quote unquote, this has become political. It's like a movie, a horror movie we're watching before our eyes and you can't close your eyes. That was a quote from someone from the CDC or the FDA. But, nah, nothing to see here, folks.
These are all propaganda articles. I'm telling you, I thought I saw something
Yeah, you had
on the
a
mainstream
you had
media.
journal article from the NIH.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm talking about, but like where a journalist actually did some journalism and did some research. Because you can get both sides of it, right? So, like, the bottom line is there's a group of people who believe that masks are detrimental. And, oh, by the way, we've seen it because, and this is my own personal opinion, but even when you hear everybody talk about how our kids are 2 years behind, it's not just because of 3 months of doing school over the computer. It's because social distancing, mask wearing, their social skills are not up to par. It has other effects other than, physical effects. It has behavioral and psychological effects as well. And people always tend to say, the risk or whatever. Like, here it is 2.5 years later. I haven't gotten it. I hope I don't get it. Don't really care that if I do. I'm in pretty good health right now. I'm fairly young. I don't have a bunch of comorbidities. I think I'll be all right. And the 80-year-old president has it, and he's doing all right, or 79, however old.
Yeah, but he's double vaxxed, triple boosted, blah, blah, blah.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was the vaccines and not the masks.
Here's a little meme that I have had for a while and shared until you mentioned that. New data suggests that the damage from shutting down schools has been worse than almost anyone expected.
Anyone except for me.
Yeah, or me.
I'm
Shutting
sure
down.
We said that as citizens.
Masking
we
children is not going to hurt them. It's fine. It's not going to. They don't mind it. Is this your fuel truck delivery?
It's supposed to be on Tuesday. I'm supposed to get 100 gallons tomorrow, unless that's propane.
Right now, everybody out there, you probably can't hear the beeping noise, but there's a fuel truck backing up to Steve's house. So currently, you're watching us talk, but you're also watching Steve's money go cha-ching, cha-ching,
Well,
cha-ching.
heating oil was down to $4.74. When I got it last month, it was $5.75.
What was it last year? 2 something?
$2.36 with my pay immediately
Yeah.
thing that I'm on or whatever. Like if you pay it.
I just want to check in and see if things are better now or worse. I just wasn't sure. So I was like, hey,
Everything is more expensive and worse.
But hey, gas has gone down some now. Biden was trying to take credit for that the other day. And then someone said, I thought you had no control of gas prices. Oh, so if it's something a little light to the end of it, like, ooh, this looks good, I'll take credit for it. But if it's bad.
Stop noticing these.
Sorry.
These. I don't know, what would you call it? Hypocrisy?
Yeah.
Hypocritical actions or statements?
Sorry.
I don't have anything to do with oil and gas. Gas is down 30 cents.
It's
I had
me.
everything to do with that. You're welcome.
How come he took credit for 17 or 16 cents cheaper last 4th of July?
No,
But when
'cause
it's
all a
$10
game.
more.
That's the whole point, is because it's a soundbite that sells, and that enough people will hear them like, oh, he's not. Now, most people probably heard 17 cents and asked themselves, why would he even bother saying that? Like, you know what I mean? Like most normal people, or thinking people that understand that 17 cents is nothing at this point. Now, back in the 50s, you go get you a hamburger, a movie, and a Coke, and probably a candy bar for like a quarter. 50, It wasn't, I don't know if you do all that, but it wasn't that expensive.
Joe Biden would remember that. Yeah.
I mean, I listen to stories from my mom and dad talk about like what they could do with a quarter.
My grandfather used to get paid $40 a week. And that was a good full-time job. Like, so things have changed drastically there, which, I mean, it all is relevant to what things cost then, but now everything is so much more than would even normally be because of inflation and everything else. And yeah. All right, last little story. Wrap this up. A tenured UCLA professor retires early, claims that the woke takeover of higher education has ruined academic life. So now you have a UCLA professor tenured, so he's been there for a long time. He quit.
Yeah, you can basically not get fired for anything.
Yep. But he's decided, I'm out because of this woke takeover of education.
Well, think about it. I mean, you can go out there and study it, read a few articles about it, go back and see what all happened in the early 2000s, 2009, all these collapses, and millennials really ended up on the short end of the stick. So meanwhile, so not only did they not have any jobs available to go into, they couldn't afford to buy homes, so they're living in their mom and dad's, or grandparents, like helping them out. And so they started off life in a bad situation, and their minds were open to crazy ideas, and these professors sitting there telling them that, it's somebody else's fault, right? But then nobody's ever held to account.
Right.
But, if you sit there and you're told over and over again that you're a victim and you don't have any recourse for yourself because the system is rigged against you, but you got to be able to stand up for yourself and realize that other people, it's rigged against them too. There's a small minority, right? 1%, a big old protest that they had back when in millennials, like the middle of their generation, that had an impact on them. And then the professors sitting there telling them all this Marxist stuff, going back to what we talked about earlier, where a lot of them hadn't lived outside the college system.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like you watch in the movies. I'm sure, I went to a different school, so I have no clue. So I'm just talking out my ass. I'm basing all of this off of The New Guy and Animal House, Old School.
But keep in mind all the millennials that love Bernie Sanders with his 3 houses, never had a real job in his life.
They all should have realized when Bernie was screwed over in 2016 and again in 2020
Even
that
worse
the system
in
is
2020.
rigged. The system is rigged even against you. Like
Right.
you're fighting. You're almost there. Like
We're
right?
fighting the same freaking thing.
Yes, it's just that you have an like they look at us as like, well, you're successful. You're able to leave and. You're pampered, you're white. And like, no, I struggle too. I got like bills to pay. I have to make tough decisions where like, oh, you know what? I'm not going to go out to eat 6 times a week. Right? Like you have to make tough adult decisions every once in a while. And that's just how life is. Even if the government were to go away, not everybody's going to take care of you. People will help you out, but you're going to have to survive on your own.
Right. The government's not your baby daddy.
The government, your college professors take what they have and learn and expound on it, and it should stimulate your quest and thirst for knowledge, not just sit there and listen to what this one person, like even what we say. Don't just sit here and listen to us. Go and look it up because we might interpret something poorly. We might miss the counterpoint argument, which again, let us know so we can cover it and get smarter on our whatever beliefs and stuff that we spout on about. Just, I'm not going to be offended if you send me something that's like, hey, that Ranger Democrat's a wackadoo who also last month he said this, and if he's talking about octopuses coming up out of the water and sucking our souls out, then okay, maybe we don't listen to him about the DNA thing, right? Like there might be something totally missing from his character that we don't know. But in this case, there's a Democrat warning you not to give your DNA up willingly, which I've heard that for years.
Yeah.
That's nothing new to me. Like, it just makes sense to me. It's like, don't give away your password to your
right
email to anybody that you don't want knowing everything about you. Same thing with your DNA. It's literally your genetic code. and they can go in there and find weaknesses and streaks to exploit or
set you up for crime even.
I mean, there's like some
crime
crazy
scenes.
sci-fi stuff that, like we talked about last week, that kids grow up reading sci-fi stuff, and then that encourages them to go out and invent things. So, like, it might be sci-fi now, but some kid is going to read this and be like, I think I can do that. This might be possible, and devote their life to it. And while we think it's a Isaac Asimov story, really what's going on is in the back room, somebody's created something that could be the savior of mankind or at the detriment of mankind, depending on whose hands it's in. This is all classic stuff that shouldn't be too far-fetched for anyone to think about and be like, man, there's some crazy stuff going on in this world.
True story. All right.
I mean, when they're trying to tell you to give up, to not wear nice things and to drive a crappy car, there's a problem with your government.
Yeah.
When your government's telling you to, like...
Yeah, you should give up your weapons to protect yourself because criminals follow law so well that if you're like, listen, I gave my guns up, don't shoot me, shoot him.
Look, I gave up my
care.
guns. I have on a pair of used Lee jeans from 1986. I got my Ralph Lauren polo from 1988. I got nothing. My wallet's empty.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead then.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll look for the nicer car and
Yes.
the people with money.
I won't shoot you and kill you. I'll go for someone else. Because that's what the criminal's doing. That's true.
I told you, man, this is the bizarro world.
Give up your security. And
The state will take care of you, eventually.
Now, what was it Ben Franklin said? If you give up your freedom for security, you'll neither have freedom nor security.
I think it was safety, but yeah.
Safety, security.
Was it security?
Safety. Same,
Yeah, same
same
thing.
exact thing. Basically,
One of those two words.
giving up your freedoms in the name of safety or security will lead to nothing. I was called out on that quote once.
Were you?
Yep. And then I was apologized to.
Those that give up freedom for safety deserve neither.
It's called out by a liberal.
You were?
Yep.
Because you were talking about doing something for safety?
I quoted that right there. More to the quote, though. I was told that's not a real statement, not a real thing, and then they looked it up and then apologized because
They didn't think you really said it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hey, these were wise men back in the day, allegedly.
I don't think you have to say allegedly. All right, here's my...
This day and age, you never know.
Yeah. All right, positive meme of the day. This kind of fits back to you, too. All right. So, this woman has a tweet, I guess. I don't know. I'm assuming tweet because it says at. So, I have a pair of J.J. Watt women's edition Reebok shoes, size 9, $60. I've worn them twice. They're great shoes. I'm only selling because we are raising money for my grandpa's funeral. I also have a Watt women's XL Texan jersey, $30. Anyone interested? J.J. Watt tweeted, "Don't sell your shoes in New Jersey. We'll help you with a funeral. I'm sorry for your loss." So that dude,
JJ has
badass.
always been a good guy. I'm
Always.
concerned about all the millions he raised after that storm. Just like, where did that money go? Because we talked about that last week. My
Yep.
suspicion of all charities, but he is he is a very charitable man. My dog is named after him. Did
Yes.
you know JJ is after JJ Watt?
yeah, you told me this. Yeah, no,
I have two of his rookie cards.
I'm a big J.J. Watt fan.
I don't even own football cards, but I own two of JJ Watt's.
I like his brother that plays for Pittsburgh too. His whole family seems very
Like if you, yeah, exactly.
But something like that-
If you look up J.J. Watt's history of giving and being a good
It's there.
guy, because he appreciates at least the public persona that he gives off,
Yeah.
I'll give him credit for, because he appreciates his lot in life. He knows that he is fortunate, and he does whatever he can to help out. And that's one thing I remember about him being a Houston Texan, was that
Yeah.
he donated his time and he put his money where his mouth was, and he truly. So I'll give J.J. Watt some praise.
Absolutely. No, I saw that and I said, that's a good positive. That's awesome. Because that's the power that people like that have.
Yeah,
Others-
it's like the guy you were talking about that
Yes.
talks to you at the baseball game,
Yes.
and because that's a distraction that we all use, right? It's like,
Right.
let me go sit at this game and forget about my worries
Right.
for
Have fun, whatever.
3 hours,
Yeah.
whatever. and then to have them actually engage with you, knowing that they're making most of them are
Most of
making
them, yeah.
millions of dollars,
Right.
and to be able to come up and spend 30 seconds talking to a kid or even an adult.
I wish I had that power to do that, to make that change like that, because they all should do it. The littlest things. Baseball players come up talking to that kid, oh, I like your name, and, talking to him for a minute, and you impact that kid's life. But you impacted my life because I'm talking about it still. Still talking about it. Because that's the power you have. That's the power people like J.J. Watt have. That's the power a lot of these people have.
Yeah,
They could use
the celebrity.
positive. Yes. Unfortunately, too many of them use it for negative things.
Right.
But J.J. Watt, seemed to be very positive with all these things. So that's a positive of the day. I thought that was awesome.
Well, good on you, J.J. Watt. Continuing your history, your legacy of giving to those with less.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, guys. We'll wrap it up and try to think. It's Monday. I'm supposed to go to the Red Sox game later. I'm not sure. It's supposed to be thunderstorms and everything, so I'm not really. I don't know. I'm hoping they just cancel it or reschedule or something because I don't drive all the way to Boston and then get rained on and thunderstorms, and that doesn't sound fun.
No.
At all. So, we'll see. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.